Hello, and welcome back to the 6-Minute Podcast. It's what I'd like to say, but this is actually Inktober, day 20. Today's prompt is really weird. It was coral, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do with coral. Maybe a coral reef of some kind? That seems too generic, so I created a monster of sorts. It's not necessarily a sea monster with coral growing on it. I'm picturing it more as coral itself that evolved into this behemoth of a beast. Anyways, welcome back everybody. I really like it when I can do drawings like these that have a lot of straight edges and a lot of corners. It makes it so much easier to make quicker and confident strokes on the page. See, the thing with a dip pen is you don't have full control like you do with a ballpoint pen. A ballpoint pen has this ball joint that lets you really slide in any direction. Whereas a dip pen, due to the way that the nibs work, you can only really make strokes in one direction and a little to the left and to the right. Which is why, if you notice in a lot of these videos, I'm always turning the page, which is still a good technique and a lot of drawing if you want to get a nice confident stroke using your arm. But especially with a dip pen or any sort of calligraphy pen, you gotta really pay attention to where you're positioned if you want that nice clean stroke. Otherwise it'll scratch up against the paper and it might even ruin your nib. There's a lot of little intricate things and tips and tricks that nobody really tells you when you're using a dip pen. And I might have mentioned this before, but one of the reasons that I'm using one is because I see it as sort of a rite of passage for myself when making comics. And I just wanted to experience what it was like doing it traditionally, when I could easily do it digitally, which is what I have more experience with. But this has been super frustrating and a lot of fun. And I gotta say, at the end of the day, when you have that traditional physical piece of artwork in your hands, it feels pretty fucking great. I also need to buy multiple different brushes, some that work better with ink. I only have one that has sable hair, which is apparently an industry standard, something that works really well. And before that, I was using other brushes and they worked okay. It just felt like I had to dip them a bit more every single time, whereas the one I'm using now seems to absorb more ink. And it gets a fine tapered line when you sharpen it up against a piece of paper. You know, when you kind of make the point of the brush super thin. I still have that video of my art supplies and maybe art supply reviews, so definitely look out for something along those lines. I think it'd be fun to maybe just review from my own experience, not necessarily what might be considered the best product, but maybe I'll begin the video by showing you a product that I just bought and then using it for a week or so, and then the rest of the video is me discussing what it was like and maybe drawing with said material. Although that type of video can get a little pricey, so we'll see how we'll do it. For now, I just really want to focus on these Inktobers, and it's really crazy how quickly this is all going by. Maybe it's because this is the most productive I've been in a long time. You know, when you have a lot of things to juggle, days really go by fast. When they say that time flies when you're having fun, the reason that is because you're so preoccupied on other things that you're not thinking about the flow of time itself. Whereas if you've ever stared at a clock sitting in a classroom, that's the worst thing you could do. That clock will go by so slow, and you'll go crazy just counting the seconds. So it's all psychological. I now have about 11 days to finish my holiday comic. I still have about half the pages to do, so I really have to get down on these. It's weird, I usually work really well under pressure, so we'll see how this goes. I'm confident that I'll finish it. I'll finish it in some way or another. I just want to make sure that I'm putting out some decent work. And I don't really intend to continue the story, so I gotta make sure it ends on a nice little note, that it feels like it ended. The way I try to write it out was in a sort of episodic mode. Something that immediately goes into an issue, and then the rest of it is trying to resolve that issue, and it ends. Once the issue is resolved, that's the conclusion of the entire story. It's kind of like a mini cartoon episode. That being said, since it's a short comic, I won't have a lot of time to showcase the rest of the world, so I gotta make it feel like you know what this world is about, you know what the characters are supposed to be like. Even though there's really only two main characters, I want to capture the feel of what is possible in this world. And I'll be sure to review that anthology when it comes out. And hopefully it comes out. There's no huge discrepancy of the world ends. Anyways, everyone, that's it for day 20 of Inktober. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the rest of the Inktober playlist. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And have a great rest of your day.